Welcome to Inside Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today on our show, we have an entrepreneur, an author, coach, and athlete, Pate Muse. Welcome to the show.
Hey, me, and with an intro like that, man, heck, I don't think there's nothing else I really need to say. Look, you got it all right there at the look. Shut the podcast down. We good. No,
Yeah, oh yeah, we gotta be prepared. You got a stack deck right now, and I'm looking forward to going through as much as we can share on this podcast with our audience. So Pate, so first we have a book. So the title of your book is The Determined Life. If you can bring yours up to speed, where how did the spark for that book happen, and how how many of the results have you seen from people like reading that book?
okay, absolutely. So my book, The Determined Life, started from my own personal journey of losing 300 pounds naturally. I won three overall titles in bodybuilding. And I just, after a certain point, I kept hearing, man, you should write a book, like from people around me and things of that nature. And I was like, honestly, I was like, I'm not doing that, man. I was like, I'm good. Like, I did this for me. And all those things of that nature. But then when I start kind of thinking about all the people that can help and the people that may not think it's possible, because I can very, very, very uh vividly remember myself when I first got started on my journey of losing weight. I thought, like, nothing against like weight loss surgery or GP1 or any of that, but I thought that was the only way out, you know. And so when I started working out, um, and I started seeing the weight come down and I lost about the first 50 pounds, I'm like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is doable. Like, it's not easy, but it's doable. So like I was a man possessed at that point. I was like, okay, so yeah, we seen 50 come off, 100 come off, 150, so on and so forth. So um, and then a lot of people that I meet now, they don't believe me when I tell them I lost 300 pounds because I don't look like what I've been through. So when I show them a picture, they're like, that was you? I'm like, yeah, that was me. So I'm a coach, all those things of that nature. So it just became one of those things. I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I should write a book, because not because be like, oh, I'm the champ. I didn't done this, I didn't done that. But for the fact of, let me put this out there for the people that don't think it's possible. Let me put this out there for the people that really need the help, that don't know where to start, that may think, surgery and all this other stuff is the only way out. So that was my reason for writing the book. And since I've written it, a lot of close people around me have read it. They enjoyed it. They've nothing but positive reviews, and people just love it. They tell me it's not what they expect, because everybody that reads it honestly expects it to be exactly the opposite. They expect it to be about my time on stage and the three-time champ and all those things of that nature. And it's in there. It's kind of tied to it, but it's more so about teaching you how to start on your own journey and the mindset that it takes to do, and the isolation and all the things of that nature. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. And you threw a word in there that was actually what I was going to with my next question, mindset. Now,
Mhm.
how what would you say put you in that mindset? Because there are people who experience what you experience, but some people don't know how to develop that mindset to stay on that path that you chose to get where you're at now.
Mhm. No, absolutely. My mindset, and the mindset that I believe, that I honestly teach, and that I believe it takes a mental switch. It honestly takes a mental switch. And I've seen it happen time and time again. And for everybody, it kind of happens in different ways. Personally, when mine came, um, I really just didn't realize, like, the thing about being morbidly obese, I was knocking on 500 pounds. You don't know you're that big. Like, you know you're a bigger person, but you don't really realize the magnitude of really how big you are until you start trying to reverse the process. So it's like, dang. But when I um went on trying to reverse my process, I'll never forget it. I was working on a job. and I was walking, just working in the warehouse, and they had a pallet scale, and I hadn't weighed myself in a long time because, well, like when I was in high school, I was in sports, and went to a high school party and ended up getting shot, so I had to quit sports, and that's kind of how my weight gain came about. Like anybody that knows anything about sports, you eat. So I kept the diet, but wasn't being active, and that's where it came from. So I stepped up on that scale because I was like, oh, the time before I knew I weighed myself, I was about 300 or something pounds. So I was like, oh, how bad can it be? I stepped up on that thing and it told me 498 pounds. I said, huh? I was like, that me? I'm like, when? Where? How? I was like, I was 21 years old, 20, I knew I had been partying, hanging out, because, that's what all 23, 24-year-old, people do. But I didn't realize, I was just kind of masking the pain from what had happened. But it just was, like I guess they say like a beautiful romance. Like it just happened. And I just went on with life thinking it was all good, but it really wasn't all good. So, I got on that scale that day, and that's when the mental shift happened. I looked over my bed, I said, that's it. Because I had tried to lose weight a couple of times before, and I really wasn't serious with it. Like my friends would call me to come hang out, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, why not?" And when that happened, I was like, "Nah, not me at all." So from that day forward, I was like, "No, that was it." For me, it just took the realization. I just had to take that long look in the mirror and be like, "Wow," like and then look like, how the heck do we even get here? So yeah.
All right. So with that, this may tie into your program to determine wellness. Um, when you seen that the pounds that were on a scale, um, would you say that changed your lifestyle? Like, were you active and became more active, or were you like non-active and then became active? Like, how did that change? And with that quote unquote new lifestyle, if it was like a new lifestyle, how did that like, change you overall?
For me, it it changed me. be- Man, yeah, it changed me all the way around, total 360 degrees, because I was partying, like I said, hanging out, going drink on the weekends and all those things like that. And then when I started trying to drop the pounds, I quickly realized that you can work out all week, and one day and one meal is really kind of like all it takes, and you can reverse the whole process of that whole week. And so I had to let that go. And then that turned into, friend groups thinking, oh, you being funny, you acting funny, and all those things. So I had to let that go. And, it was a total, when I say total 360 degrees for me, literally nothing about my life is the same from that point besides my personality. I never lost my personality. I never changed as a person. And but yeah, it total 360 degrees, and that's kind of what it takes. You need the people around you that's gonna support you and that's gonna support you through your change, because it's not gonna be easy. And at the end of the day, we all love food. So if you got the people around you, it's like, oh, you don't have to do that today, man. Just take a day off. They don't understand the 10 days it's gonna take you to reverse that one day, and all those things like that. So yeah, it's totally different.
That's beautiful you said that. And I like how you doing there. You didn't lose your personality. That's awesome because
Yeah, sir.
yeah, because people can get in that mindset and then they just feel like they have to become a whole new person when it's not even that you're trying to change. So now let's jump into the program that you have, Determine Wellness. How
hmm
did that come about?
So I had people like, man, they would see what I did. People that knew me, and they was like, man, I was like, hey, I'm not a coach. And they like, something, So I actually, I was like, you know what? Okay. So I took the time, went and got certified by NASM. So I'm a NASM certified coach. And um, the people just kept asking me, man, help me out, show me how to get started, or and all those things of that nature. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? Tell you what. I'm gonna develop this program, and the thing that made me go get certified was because I the reason why I would tell people no in the beginning, I didn't want to hurt anybody. I didn't want to be responsible for getting somebody started and they're responsible for, man, I tried this and it didn't work. And then they down on themselves and all those things like that. Cause I just knew prior to all the things that I had tried and they didn't work because I was going through it, going about it the wrong way. Like, perfect example of this, I'm not sure who said that a loaf of bread from Subway is healthy, but hey, everybody think of Subway and they think eat first, right? So, but that don't. So at the end of the day, I was like, okay, let me go get the proper knowledge so I can really help people. And it's been a beautiful process. A lot of people around me, I know few people that are, my close relative, 100 pounds down. I got a guy with me working right now. He just getting started. He started at about 350 pounds and he's 50 pounds down. So it's been a good process. And that's the part about it that I enjoy the most now is seeing people believe in themselves for the first time. And it's just really nothing like it. Like that spark that they see and that twinkle and that smile that they get when they realize they can do it. And not only do they realize they can do it, because weight loss is one part of it, but it ties into every other facet of your life. So once you start this, then you want to start other things. And so then they just like, hey man, I got on the plane and I didn't have to wear a belt extender, or I was able to go play with my kids, or I was able to do, all those things, man. That's what it's about for me. Those are the things that just really fuel me, that make me like, okay, yeah, this like it just gets me excited if you can't tell. So
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. All right. So before we get into this experience that you had at the Impact Book Awards, the International
mm,
Impact Book Awards, for the listeners out there, if anyone is interested in your wellness program and your book, this is that time right now. If you can share those outlets where they can find you at, find that book, find your program.
absolutely. So if you out there and you looking for coaching, you can go to Mr.245.com. My book is on there. My merch is on there. You can get in contact with me on there if you just want to talk. You just want to consult. Just be like, hey man, I heard the podcast. I just got some questions or whatever the case may be. Hey, go to Mr.245.com. I'm on there. Check me out.
Awesome. All right, everyone, remember, connect. Let's do that. Let's create more great progress out there. That's what we love hearing. That's what we love seeing. All right, Pate. So now let's talk about so your book, and you're at the International Impact Book Awards. How was that experience for you?
That experience right there, I think I'm kind of still taking it in because the crazy thing for me about that process, when I mentioned that I was a three-time champion overall transformational bodybuilder. Well, when I went to the show, it was funny because when they called my name, I of course knew I had won something. I just wasn't sure. But it was kind of crazy for me that it took me about 5 years at competing to get my three overall titles. And it took the book one shot, three first place at the International Impact Book Awards. That was one of the craziest. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's crazy. So the experience was great. I met some great people, like Michael Cofield, he great guy, and great authors that's out there moving and shaking and also trying to spread the positivity. And it was a great experience. Like we danced, we ate. I gave a speech, very heartfelt speech about, purpose and the reason why I do this. And, the reason why God put me in this journey and had me to go through all this is because he wanted me to make an impact. He wanted me to change lives. And so I take that to heart and it's not something that I take lightly. So yeah, the, the event was dope. It's a great time. I'm also up for Author of the Year. So we'll be going out in October, beginning of October to see if we get that award. So that'll be dope. But yeah, it was a great time.
Awesome. Congratulations again on the win, and
Thank you.
look forward to hearing about that author of the year. This is awesome. I love it. All right. So Pate, any words of advice you want to give to someone who is listening to this podcast and hearing your story and they're ready to take that step? Like, yeah, you know what? He done it. We hear the testimonials from other people. You know what? Now it's my time.
The first thing, the first and foremost thing that I want to say, and I got to slow down when I say this because I really want people to hear me when I say this. A lot of people believe that they can't do it. That's the reason why a lot of people don't start. They feel like it's going to be this big task. Is it challenging? Does it have its challenging? Yes, absolutely. But you can do it. That's the first thing. The first thing, I just want people to believe that they can honestly do it. The second thing is start. There isn't a perfect time. There isn't another Monday. There isn't oh, I'm gonna wait till after this event and all this stuff like that. There's no perfect time. Just start. I A lot of people get in their way with that too, because they be like, oh, you know what, such and such birthday is coming up. So, I'm just gonna wait till after then because I'm gonna eat anyway. And all those things of that nature. Start and stick with it. Stick with it. Don't get discouraged. Don't look at the scale every day saying it's not changing. You know, a lot of things about the scale, you just don't, it doesn't tell the whole story. Heck, you could be losing weight and gaining muscle and the number don't change and you discouraged the whole time. You got a beautiful thing happening. It's one of those things. Is a lot more to it than just the number on the scale. That's another thing I have to really reiterate because a lot of people get just caught up with the number on the scale. And I tell them all the time, listen, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Can you see the visual changes in the mirror? Okay, then the number on the scale, hey, hey, we'll get that, but don't worry about that right this second. So that that's probably the best. Yeah, those are probably the best factors that I can give right off the top of my head.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So now we're at the part of the episode where I ask the question, what is a book, a TV show, or a film that you recommend to anyone? Because I usually I'll say like aspiring writer, aspiring director, but you have so many things that you do. What would you recommend?
So there's two. I'm gonna give two books. Of course, mine, you know, The Determined Life, of course. However, if I had to give a book that's not mine, I loved reading David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. That book right there, what I tell you, his story is a lot like mine and about resilience and not giving up and all those things of that nature. But if you are out there and you are trying to achieve any goal, if it's fitness, if it's business, if it's no matter what it is, if it's the number one podcast, I don't care what it is. Check that book out. He gives some great points in that book, and it'll spark you and it'll challenge you to really start and do that thing that's been keeping you up at night.
Awesome, awesome. All right, everyone. That was our episode today of Inside Plug. Pate, thanks for joining us and sharing your journey.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. All right, everyone. You guys remember we're here every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're on YouTube, Spotify. We're all over the place. Find us, connect with us, and keep up to date with us. All right, everyone. That's been our episode today. Remember, stay inspired and keep creating. Inside Plug, signing out.
Absolutely.